Welcome back to Seen It Before. We're probably going to say something stupid about your favorite movie because we've seen it all before. I'm Danny.
I'm Dan, and we got the newest Scorsese movie this week.
Scorsese.
And we got a lot to talk about, so we're going to make this intro as short as possible. Killers of the Flower Moon. We got Cameron. Hello, Cameron.
Yo,
it's Cameron.
How we doing?
We got Cameron remote.
Yes. You guys have been complaining about my overall hygiene, and I'm taking that to note. Thank you guys for the critiques. So we're going to be virtual today.
Yes, no, he is actually at a film festival all week, so up here in upstate New York. So, it's how is it so far, Cameron?
Yeah, so when it was first announced, I immediately read the book written by David Gran, and it was fascinating. Horrible, but a real page turner. I just kind of inhaled it. So what the book really focuses on is, you definitely get the Ernest Burkhart, the Leo DiCaprio, and the Lily Gladstone character for a while of it. But the second half is really the Jesse Plemons show. It's all him.
Oh.
And it's like far more interested in the FBI proceedings. And it's great. And it's really interesting. Like, he literally gets he eventually becomes like a prison warden. And there's like a jailbreak, and the prisoners take him out in the middle of nowhere and leave him for dead. So like Jesse Plemons' character has like the Revenant happen to him. And it takes up like 5 pages of the book. That's like how insane this man's life is.
Jesus.
So I didn't really know what I was expecting going into it. Of course, the 3.5 hour runtime was warranted because there was so much to get through.
Yeah, and without further ado, I was going to say, let's get to it.
So lots of bad things happen.
Lots of bad things.
Leonardo DiCaprio plays another despicable person.
Dude, he's getting typecast in these roles.
Yeah,
I swear.
Specifically only Scorsese movies, though. Because, say what you will about him in Aviator, he's like the main character and you kind of feel bad for him. He's kind of a dick in that. So that was like the start of it.
I haven't seen that one.
Wolf of Wall Street, terrible human being. And now this one, probably the worst one yet. You know what I mean? Like, what he does on a personal level to his wife.
The way it's edited, it's just like his character gets there. It's like, you need to find a wife. Okay.
I love her.
I love her.
I can't tell if I believe him.
I'm going to kill for her. I love her. But then she's going to die.
But I'm going to kill her for her oil money.
I want her money.
I will say,
oh my God.
At least in Leo's previous roles, he had some form of intelligence. Here,
this is interesting.
Just like the biggest moron.
Yeah.
He gets pushed around every which way. It's horrible.
But now let's talk about Lily Gladstone. Holy shit. Dude, breakout performance of the year, I think.
Very, very good.
My God, she was good.
Yeah.
Like every second she was on screen, she stole it.
The script asks a lot from her. She's like pushed around. She's poisoned. She's on her deathbed. She still has to be stoic in the beginning. And I feel like she does a really good job at selling us on liking Leo, because when you first look at him, you're like, no one's going to fall in love with that guy. But then you kind of understand why she's attracted to him, right? Do we agree?
No. But yeah,
I think he looks his worst in this movie.
Oh my
Specifically with the dentures they gave him right in the beginning to make him look not like Leo DiCaprio. I'm like, his teeth look fucking gross, dude.
They're weird.
And then I noticed that went away later on because obviously he's getting the money and getting rich and but like this movie is very much just like another Scorsese movie where like they show the humble beginnings, the rise, then the fall.
With political undertones in this one.
Yeah, very much so. But it is kind of an interesting. Like I knew nothing about this area of the history. I just knew that I thought it was like Manifest Destiny or the Trail of Tears. I thought that's what happened. But this is a whole other thing.
Yeah, I knew about the Osage thing and what happened there with them, but I didn't know the extent of it. And this movie kind of like explored that, and I think did a really good job of explaining what happened. And
it reminded me a lot about Parasite, if that makes sense. Like
in what way?
The have-nots infiltrating the haves and trying to take their wealth and stuff. These ones, in this story, they sort of succeed a little bit halfway.
So theirs is more eat the rich. This one's more like
This one's just like diabolical,
awful.
Or the way they do it. It's just like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Robert De Niro. Let's get to him now.
It's also,
oh my god,
yeah. He another great performance from Robert De Niro, obviously, because he's Robert De Niro. Plays another bad guy, the king, literally the king. Yeah, I mean, he is. It's like all of like the worst parts of capitalism just in one person, and like, you know.
Let's not take. He's also supposed to be a 45-year-old man in this movie.
No, there's no fucking way. Yeah. Oh, yeah. When that whole bit at the end where like he died at 87, I'm like, was he not already 85?
No, he was 45 in the book. Apparently.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I get it. Marty and Robert, they want to, you know.
They work well. They work well.
I feel like Scorsese's doing a really good job of like weaponizing De Niro in this movie because he has built up goodwill over the past 50 years of working with him. And, you know, when we first meet him, he does have that kind of like nice grandpa energy where it's like, oh, well, you know, sit down, have a drink and all this. But like just slowly the layers start to chip away until we get to that awesome scene. Is it in a bank? I don't remember what the location is.
Oh, but, yeah, the spanking scene? Yeah.
The spanking scene.
Spanking scene.
Oh, that was way past what the far like. So like when I first like, oh, he's a bad guy. was like pretty much the scene after they introduce him, where he's like, you know, where he says, what is it? The Osage, they're very beautiful people or whatever, and then it just cuts to like a guy dying from like poisoning or something, and I'm like, oh, so this is what this is about. I didn't quite know what that meant at the time because I'm like, oh, is he like?
You're still putting together the pieces there at that point. Yeah.
But then when I started hearing like, I think it was the point. I don't know. There's a lot of just like point blank executions. Like, in this movie, shit.
They just started taking out this whole family, like one by one. Each of them, like
they're parasites. Like that's, you know, if that movie didn't come out, that would be the best title for this. I think because like
right.
You know, they're just hanging on to this. They're infiltrating this, you know, regular family. You know, they happen to hit good when you know, and like normally like if you see this in like any other story, if it wasn't like the minority having the more money, you'd obviously make the rich people the dickheads. So maybe there's a little bias because I can't see them not having a little bit of tinge to that. But like at the same time, like the way that they take out this entire family is just like you have to like
you have to have no soul.
Yeah, like to systematically poison your wife.
Yeah, and then marry another person in that family and try to do the same thing.
And the fact that like, okay, I'm just confused as to how, like, why did this community still allow pretty much, like, I would understand racism if this was the, you know what I mean? Like, why did they not have kind of like a hard and fast rule of like no white people marrying?
Well, because because
that seems to be the common denominator, you know?
Well, I mean, there's the whole thing in the beginning too, where like, oh, the children are gonna have to learn to, you know, not be their native selves now, since like they're all becoming.
So they're trying to assimilate.
The white people were coming in, the assimilation and all that stuff was happening at that time, and they couldn't really do anything about it. So
they can't.
It's not like it is today, where there's all this mass media coverage of things. There wasn't that back then.
No, I know that.
Like, exactly. It's like...
we're still... I mean, I'm pretty sure this movie was partly made just to put more attention on the disappearing Native women in... Was Alaska or something?
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Well, I know, like, the new season of Dexter really tried to hit on that, which, like, that was interesting. Like, you know? And, of course, they spin it into, like, it's this one serial killer guy doing it. But, you know, now that I've seen this movie, I'm like, it could be the entire town, you know? Which is just fucked up.
And I feel like part of the problem that they do a really good job at acknowledging is that William Hale's character, he was partially a sheriff in the town. So the person that was holding on to the keys of justice was corrupt to begin with. And I feel like that's just to go back to the point of why didn't they just close it off to begin with?
No, that makes,
It happened for so long, and then little by little they started eating away at the citizens of the town. So like it just happened over time until it got too big, and for I guess the early days of the FBI to explore. So
I like that it was a little more nuanced because like normally if this we're in modern times, we're in modern movie making. There would be the tendency to make just all the white people the evil people, and of course like obviously that's what happens.
That is exactly what happened.
But at least you have like this the entire FBI police force, and they don't call attention to it. That's what I like. But like it's nuanced in that way. What else?
And when they were in early drafts of the screenplay, apparently Scorsese and Eric Roth were. The first draft was kind of like what I was telling about the book, where it was mostly Tom White driven, Jesse Plemons' character driven, and then they were like, "But what's
this whole other thing?" Yeah, there's a whole other story between him and her.
That's
so then they pivoted.
Yeah.
I was mentioning this to one of our coworkers today, Mark, and I was talking like this movie could have been a TV show. I feel like they could have explored so much in that. They
could have been a Disney Plus 6 episode.
No, it could have been an Apple TV show because it's already an Apple original. Like
they're getting into movies.
Like they could have done like instead of a 3.5 hour movie, they could have done like an 8-hour series out of this, and they could have gotten more stuff into it, explored more elements. And
it's Scorsese though.
It is Scorsese. That is.
I think the only TV show he dabbled in was Vinyl, and that didn't do well.
Boardwalk Empire.
Oh yeah, I forgot he did that. Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
That's just so I need to watch that. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I feel like the big thing with this and The Irishman for me is that the reason why I love that they're movies is because I think this is something he talked about when he did The Irishman, is that it's an accumulation of detail. You feel everything slowly build up over the course, and by the end you feel like you really have gone on a journey. And I think that's also partially why Scorsese had mentioned that he likes Beau is Afraid. I think Beau is Afraid.
Yes, we were talking about that before. Yeah.
I still don't know what to make of that movie. There are a few things that I think are just kind of like thrown in there, like I got it, especially the what's her name, Molly's older sister. Her death, Anna. We didn't need to see that. I got the context from his court.
Yeah, no.
From his testimony. Like I didn't need to see like this weird flashback of like Molly putting the Byron to bed, and then I didn't need to see that. Like that was kind of jarring to me because like also I was confused as to where Molly's headspace was after he was arrested, because even after she like got better, she's like because like. First thing in my head would be like, was my husband poisoning me? There's these random murders of all these, all my sisters mysteriously poisoning. And I was sick unexplainably for how long? And then I went to a real doctor without my husband for like 2 days and I was fine. Mm-hmm. So gears would be spinning in my head, but then she's still like hugging him and kissing him. Like, I would at least be suspicious.
I know. I'm sure she was, but like, above all, I mean, that's her husband. She wouldn't think that he'd be.
And she doesn't want it to be true.
She doesn't want to.
Is that I don't know. It just seems
in
like
the Directors Guild of America discussion between Scorsese and Ty West, they talked about how when Scorsese went to visit Oklahoma before production started, they had a big town hall where he heard from a lot of people who lived there, and one of them was a Burkhart descendant, and she said, what I really want people to remember is that Molly loved Ernest. And I think that's very important to the story. I think it's the problem with love is that it can blind you at some points.
Yep.
Okay, so if that's the case, and if that's true, I don't think the point was gotten, or at least from Molly's perspective, was gotten across. Because I'm just seeing because I don't really know much of the movie from her perspective. It's mostly Ernest. And I'm just seeing her just being like, my sisters keep dying. My mom's dead. My child's dead. And I didn't really see them. I didn't see too much love there. Maybe that's the chemistry between the actors. Maybe that's directing. I don't really know.
I think it's the writing.
Maybe. Yeah. There's a few downsides, aside from the runtime. You could cut a few things out, but there was one very clear day for night scene that was very bad. It was when I think his name's Charlie, where he got shot right in the oil fields.
Oh yeah, one of those.
That one, I'm like, that was shot in the day. They put a crappy filter on. I'm like, Scorsese, you're better than this, man.
Yeah, it's probably a reshoot. It could have been a reshoot.
Yeah. Also, the sound, whatever mics they were using, it must have been like a really vibration heavy courtroom
in the court.
When we introduced Brendan Fraser, like what is going on with the sound there? That just sounds awful.
I agreed with that. I was like, whoa, what's going on?
Yeah, it was like,
I saw it in IMAX and I definitely noticed it.
Yeah, no, I did too. I saw it IMAX.
Just regular.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, I didn't know if that was just IMAX specific, but since Danny, you bring it up.
Yeah, I think. Well, I'm pretty sure that's just the reason, because I've been in the courtroom. It's super echoey. Just dealing with this. With you know what I mean.
And
Was
speaking
that
of
the
IMAX,
DUI or what was that, Danny?
The what?
is that DUI?
The DUI? Is that what it was, or why were you in the court?
Oh,
It took him a minute.
that's a story for another time.
Anyway, seeing it in IMAX, I don't think I needed to see it in IMAX. I was expecting a lot more, like
Like a war scene.
yeah, I was expecting more stuff like that, and that would have been really cool to see in IMAX. But
I think it just got the IMAX treatment just because it's Scorsese.
and because nothing's playing, and didn't this get moved up too? To get IMAX screens, I think it got moved up a few weeks. Yeah,
I think
to
it
get
got
away
moved
from the Marvels.
from the Marvels.
Yep. That one gets the screens too. And Dune, because Dune was going to get it too. All right,
We were robbed. I should be watching that next month, man.
Yeah, would have been. Anyway,
Since we mentioned the courtroom, should we talk about Brendan Fraser?
Yeah.
we haven't really talked about Jesse Plemons yet, though. We haven't really talked about his character. So let's talk about
Jesse Plemons. He just plays another Jesse Plemons.
So
He's just like super
fine.
quiet and stern.
The problem is, like you said, when they wrote the first draft of the script, it was very heavy with him in this movie, correct?
He doesn't come into the third hour.
At this point, I don't think he was really needed. He was just kind of there. I don't think he was hyped up in the trailers, but he wasn't.
Oh, he was? I
really
didn't know
a
that.
big part. There was nothing.
I liked him. It was fine.
Yeah, no, he was fine. Exactly, he was just fine.
Yeah.
He wasn't really there.
Yeah, it was like
Just same thing with Brendan Fraser.
Brendan Fraser being there was just like, we got him.
Well,
Cool.
that's good. Good, he's getting work again.
Yeah.
That's
Although
the big thing.
I think it was a little too soon for him to be playing a villain. You know what I mean? Just the fact that he was blacklisted.
He was going to play Firefly, or that the Batman villain in the Batgirl movie. He was going to play the villain in that.
Yeah, but that's different. It's like, it's a comic book. This is a real life person who was a despicable human being. You know what I mean? This is somebody I can be like, fuck that guy.
Yes.
So yeah, but I loved him in The Whale. I'm just like, what's his name? Charlie? Is it Charlie in that?
In this movie?
In The Whale.
No, in The Whale.
In The Whale, yeah, Charlie, yeah.
So I'm like, oh, buddy, I feel for you, man. I'm on your side. And he's like, you need to save your stupid uncle because he's saving you. I'm like, no, don't say that.
Oh my gosh, he's actually, I liked him a lot in this.
No, yeah, he was good.
There's some people on Twitter that are wrong and say that he's just overperforming. I don't think so. I think that's.
I don't think so either.
He's a bit Shakespearean, but that's like the thing. That's
the
like
vibe. It's the vibe,
I felt it. In my heart,
for sure.
my soul.
And also he provides a very good counterpoint to John Lithgow, who I feel like is out of like a To Kill a Mockingbird story or something.
God.
Black white hair, and he's like, yes.
I miss seeing him and stuff. He's older now too. He's like 78.
I can't not see him as the Trinity Killer.
Oh God, I love him.
He's fucking good.
He's so good.
Yeah,
And then I want to talk about. All right, I don't really know the actor too well, but the guy who played Black, he just kept getting fucked over in this movie.
Dude,
This poor guy. This poor guy. Just easily taken advantage of by Ernest, and it's just like, Blackie. You got arrested once,
I want
and
you
then
to steal my car for the insurance. I mean, although in Leo's defense, he was right. It wasn't on him for getting caught for stealing the car. You know what I mean?
True.
Like he shouldn't have just, And then I felt bad for the other guy, the mustache guy, the one who killed Henry. Drinking buddy, his drinking buddy, the melancholy guy.
Yeah.
I felt bad for that guy. Yeah, it's like he didn't want to do it. He made a very big mistake. He should serve some time. But I can understand. He's in a tough spot.
All right.
Any
other characters you guys want to talk about before we get into the actual plot of the story, the meat?
I mean, there's so many.
I mean, Lizzie Q, the
she was cool.
The whole family, she was phenomenal.
She was.
Yeah, she's like, she knew. She was completely right.
She's like, these fucking white people.
Yeah, just like yeah. So why didn't she have more protest more when all her daughters married white men? I'm surprised that not a single pair is with another Native American. She can just, my grandmother fucking bitches about people, and she goes at it, man.
Yeah, but like, there's some battles are better left,
It's like all of them.
I know.
Like, was that the case? Was that like history? Was that like
so.
every Native woman just ended up with a white guy?
Well, not everyone
was gonna kill her.
I don't think every one of them, but like that family for sure, like Ernest's family, and
man, they really played them hard, man.
They did.
Well, actually, I do want to talk about those first 10 minutes. I really like how everything gets established with that kind of tribal ritual that happens.
Yep.
I think it's really important to start the movie there because we're grounding the narrative in some kind of, cultural context. And then you have that awesome slow motion shot of the Native Americans in the oil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Rodrigo Prieto right there.
Great
DP.
I mean, goddamn.
Yeah.
One of the critics I love, Adam Naiman, he said he started connecting this and There Will Be Blood a bit.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
We do have the same production designer, Jack Fisk, but and there definitely was blood.
There was blood.
That there was, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, well, in that one, like, there's like a whole 15-minute scene of him like dragging himself back after he gets out of a mine, right? Or he falls down and breaks his leg.
Yeah.
In the beginning, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And then we have that black and white newsreel footage, which I think establishes one of the big motifs in the movie, which is media and storytelling.
Yeah.
And how it was so controlled by white people and people of a certain privilege. You have all those hucksters being like, "Hey, come on, I'll take a portrait for you. Only, $500. Oh, that's a good price, right, guys?"
500.
That idea
Jesus.
of who's in control of the narrative, and then the way that in the present day, yeah, sure, Martin Scorsese is still telling the story. He's a white guy, and I think that's also partially why the story is told from Ernest's perspective. Because I feel like if Scorsese told it from Molly's perspective, I think it'd be a damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because then people would be like, "Why is that white guy telling a Native American story?" Which I think we even kind of saw that on Twitter. There was somebody who was like, "I feel like Taika Waititi should have done it because he's part."
That's the shit I hate. No. That's the shit I hate. If you have a good story and it's called sure, you're gonna have it through your lens, but you can do your best to interview people who are of that. I feel like he got a lot of stuff right. I didn't know about the apples on the coffins. I didn't know about all the different. I feel like the owl. I feel like all the women are always wrapped in ceremonial blankets. That seems like a thing that would happen. I don't know for sure, but it seems like that's such a specific fact that he would include in that it wouldn't be true. So I feel like he's done his research, and I think I just don't see a problem with that. You're making a movie and telling the story. Mm-hmm. People shouldn't just be upset about that. That's they just want to be mad about something.
People are always going to be upset about something.
Admitting that. Mm-hmm. I mean, can we just quickly talk about those last 15 minutes? Because for me, that's probably the most daring stuff he's ever done as a filmmaker.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
I find it phenomenal.
Oh, the teleplay thing?
The teleplay thing. Yeah. That was fun. That was
genius.
That was fun. I liked it.
Yeah.
It caught me off guard at first. I was like, "Oh, this is a cool way of doing it. I didn't expect this." Mm-hmm. And I
guess so the teleplay part, I'm thinking okay, you want to be original. You don't want to just have the standard text on screen. This is what happened after. It's a little nicer. I think when he gets on stage, that's where it becomes a little too self-indulgent. I
think it's self-flagellating in a way. I think he's admitting that he's been part of a system that has, Hollywood has suppressed indigenous voices. They've suppressed plenty of people in favor of more straightforward storytelling. And I think when he shows up at the end, he says, "Yeah, you know what? I've kind of been a part of the problem, and I'm trying to listen and I'm trying to grow." And I found that to be very mature of him to kind of, step up to the plate and kind of admit, "Hey, I'm a part of this pageantry. Yeah. I'm just a white guy spouting off the facts. I'm trying to do it in a respectful way." Yeah. But, and I don't know, I found that to be very moving.
He's just like, "Hey, it's me. I'm the problem." Yeah. Well, it's not wrong.
Just play Taylor Swift in the background.
Mm-hmm. I'm not editing that in there. I'm not doing that. But yeah, so it's very creative, and I think it just kind of wraps up the movie very nicely. And then there's the whole, drum circle at the end that was really well done, well choreographed. I mean, it had to be well choreographed. It's just, damn, just solid, just solid.
I mean, the rest of the movie I think is more.
We're gonna talk about the rest of the movie. Don't worry.
It's like, so. I mean, it's just hard to explain. Like, I mean, that's just a sign of how well of a filmmaker Scorsese is, because I felt for Leo through most of it, and then I was doing this thing where I was like separating like his two lives for a little bit. Where like when I saw the flashbacks of him beating the shit out of that private investigator,
oh my god, I was like, oh,
I'm like, oh, like he's personally doing this. I thought it was like what's his face? Robert De Niro just had guys wherever he was.
It's him. He's the problem.
He's the problem. It's him.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, and I would have liked to see more comeuppance for Robert De Niro, maybe, and maybe replace those scenes of
he got
gratuitous killing of
early too, which is
yeah.
Good behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Also, is what's his face? The guy who played Byron, is he just like hell bent on playing some of the worst people in cinematic history? Because he was the guy from Last of Us. Yeah, him too. Yeah, man. It's just
yeah.
The violence in the movie is great.
It's matter of fact.
It's so heartless. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I think that kind of connects it to The Irishman in some ways. The way that the camera is just locked down, whereas I'm always thinking of this violence in comparison to like Goodfellas when Joe Pesci shoots Sam Jackson.
Whoa! Spoilers! Whoa!
That was his first role, I think, too.
For a movie that's 33 years old.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, so you can.
I had this conversation at work today too. I haven't seen it.
Goodfellas, bro.
Yeah.
Well, actually, you know what? I don't feel bad. That's on you, Dan. You should have seen it by now.
Yeah, I know. It's okay. Anyway, keep going.
So like in Goodfellas, you have that awesome low angle shot of Joe Pesci with a gun, and it's slow motion, and you've got the Bells of St. Mary playing in the background, and it's like objectively a beautiful piece of filmmaking for a violent moment. Whereas now it's just lock the camera down, boom, you blink, and a life is gone. It's very sobering.
Little did we know that motherfucker is back with a vengeance. With an entire 33-year career from there. Yes,
exactly. Yeah, no, I mean, there's another. What was the scene I want to talk about? The house scene where they're all running around the house and everything. Like after they had their first kid, like they did that really well. Like the camera's going through the house and seeing all the dysfunction and everything. And then
I don't think I remember that. I remember the fight that almost happened. Where Anna comes in.
Oh no, it's that same scene.
It's that
scene. It's just the very beginning of that scene.
Oh, I didn't even notice that was one shot.
Yeah, I think it was one shot, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah, more of it. Circling around the lower house level. Yeah, which of course you're kind of referencing Goodfellas in that way, long take and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Wait,
I remember PTA doing it a little better though.
Yeah, no, I really like the way that whole scene played out, and the way. As saying the whole drunk scene, like she comes in drunk and it's just like,
everyone's really drunk, and I think I can understand why.
You understand why she is, because she's like, you're gonna kill me.
So it's like, but it's so that's the thing I just don't understand. Like she knew, and she knew it as it was happening, because I don't think she was joking. She's like, you're gonna kill me, you're gonna kill me, and then they do it. It's like, why did you not? Like, I'm thinking like human survival here.
What's she gonna do about it?
Fight back a little bit. A try.
She's fucking drunk, bro. She wasn't gonna win.
Like, but I just don't understand. Like, I get it. You're surrounded, but it's like there's still the community of Native Americans in because they had that meeting, and sure,
again, no one's gonna believe them because the sheriff.
I mean, they'll believe each other.
Yeah, they will. But what are they gonna do about it?
I don't fucking know. But it's like. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not.
Situation.
Maybe there was context that I'm missing from like the years and years of like them actually responding to this how like I think normal people would respond to it.
Yeah.
But I just didn't get that. You know, so I'm just confused watching the whole movie. Like, you're just giving up, like it's happening in that moment, and you're not doing anything. And I just don't like on a basic human level. I think everybody would at least fight back a little bit, but I don't know.
Yeah. Cameron,
I think that's why she drunkenly confronts him. In my opinion, I think that's the only way she can speak up. Sadly, I think.
How do they? And also, like, is it stated or like how when they decide to do that? When because Byron's just like, it's time to take her home. I'm like, why though? Like, when did you come up with that idea? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I feel like it's just always been in their back pocket.
Like, is she becoming a problem?
I think so. I think there was just always a plan. It feels inevitable, which is horrible. But that's what it feels like.
Yeah, all of them felt inevitable.
Yeah, that's the terrible part about this movie. It's just like, ugh.
Yeah.
You know?
God.
Although I am glad that, like, they were able to do something. They were able to go up to J. Edgar Hoover, and he wasn't a total asshole for once. You know?
Oh,
they got
and actually,
Coolidge.
This is what's interesting. In real life, Molly never went to Washington.
Oh,
it was just that group of delegates that went out to Washington, and I think they were murdered, but they did speak to Hoover by themselves. But Molly had never left the reservation, so that's a very nice, like, small little way that the movie does grant her some agency, and I thought that was a very smart thing to do.
I also noticed it was interesting that when she shakes Coolidge's hand, she gives him like this like heartfelt, like, people are dying, we need your help, please do anything. And he's just like, thank you for coming, thank you. And so in that moment you're thinking, oh, he's not going to do shit, they're still going to be in this situation. But then luckily, you know, Jesse Plemons comes in, and then, like, I can't tell you, like, the breath of fresh air I felt when he came. Like, oh my god, thanks, finally.
Wasn't it like the FBI's first case? I'm pretty sure.
It was newly established. Like, they didn't even say the Federal Bureau. The FBI was just Bureau of Investigation.
Yeah, this is their first case. I'm pretty sure.
Damn.
The Osage.
Yeah, the subtitle of David Grann's book is The Birth of the FBI. So this is, you're right, Dan.
It's crazy. Some crazy stuff, man. Then I was looking at. I saw another trivia fact in here, and I can't remember what it was. So.
Why don't we talk music?
Yeah, you guys do that.
Should have them queued up. Should have them queued up.
I didn't have time. Anyway.
The score is great. Robbie Robertson, former front leader of the band who passed away in August. This is his final work. The instrumental score, I think, is great, using some kind of blues guitars. We've got some bass going on. We still have some integration of some native music. I really like the score here. It's something that I have been listening to a lot, but I think it balances quite well.
I actually didn't really notice it. I mean, that's probably the sign of a good score, though. It's just kind of you're in the moment for it. One, I hate to be negative, but there is one song, I think, where they're doing the drag race or whatever, right when Molly meets, where they had this screeching, like it was like a high pitched yell. And I'm just like, it was really, really long. And I'm just like, ow, please stop.
It was in the score?
I think so. It was part of the song or something. I think it was like you know? But yeah, it was droning. And it, like, maybe it was my theater, but, like, it really hurt my ears.
Okay, so I wanted to circle back to this idea of it not just being this one family that, you know, just fucked over all these Native Americans. But as Cameron could probably attest to this, like, it was a huge conspiracy involving hundreds of these people. It wasn't just like this one family or anything. It was hundreds of families.
Damn.
That got.
Oh yeah, they mentioned they're down hundreds of people. So
yeah, well, the scale of this was absolutely.
It just makes you wonder, like, how many. I mean, because, like, obviously the disappearances of all, like, the teenage girls in Alaska, that's still happening.
I honestly don't even know what that's about.
It makes you wonder, like, is that what's going on?
I haven't heard of this at all.
Oh, really?
This Alaska thing. I haven't heard about this at all.
I know it was a big thing in Wind River, like the movie Wind River. I mean, all my experience and knowledge of this is from movies because I don't.
Yeah,
I'm in the news, but I don't pay attention to the news.
I do.
But like Wind River hits on it. Dexter, this in a way, does, so it's getting out there. Like I wasn't looking for it, and now I know about it, and so I'm aware. Awareness works.
You are woke, as some would say.
Yeah.
So we talked about Blackie already. We've talked about Leah, the spanking scene. We haven't really talked.
That was a weird scene. They could have cut that, I think.
I really like how they brought in the whole insulin thing because only a few people in the world could afford it, and I'm sure that was part of the book.
That's still the case.
But wow, this went even deeper with the whole insulin thing. I was like, wow, I didn't even know the insulin thing was that big. Well, it wasn't big back then at all. Like it was just basically unknown. So that was really cool to see that included. Honestly,
yeah. It was like the creation of it, and then what was the second thing that he gave her? That he was mixing it with.
Oh yeah, what was that thing he was mixing it with?
I don't remember if they said it.
I don't really remember, and I don't think it was really clarified. But I loved the doctors. The doctors were
oh yeah.
I know the guy with the black hair, not the really old guy with the glasses, but he was in The Irishman. He was a judge, and also I mostly remember him from It's Always Sunny when they move out to the suburbs. He's Larry, always asking Dennis. That's a hot one, right, Dennis?
Yeah, isn't it?
Oh my God! It was like Mac and Dennis moved to the suburbs. Yeah, it was a good one. Oh God.
Oh, the I don't know what you call it. The I guess the supervisor, the guy who's in control of Molly's money. Is he the banker? I don't know. I always know him.
Bank guy.
He's the guy who gets killed by Anton Chigurh. I'm like, where do I recognize this guy from? And because I noticed his. I don't mean to be mean. He just kind of has like a dumbfounded look all the time. So like I'm just like I reckon. Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah. So I'm like that's where I recognize him from.
I don't know his name.
Yeah.
But every time he's on screen, I'm like, oh, it's him. It's the guy from No Country for Old Men.
So also, does anybody know the context and the history of so she's like Molly Kyle incompetent 02 something or whatever, like that's her number.
Is
that just like
scene.
with the Manifest Destiny thing? They moved them out, put them on this reservation, and took away their rights legally like that. Is that what happened?
They
essentially
mention it in the start. They don't go too much in depth with it, but the idea is that essentially it was deemed that Native Americans, they were too brutal or whatnot to responsibly handle money, so they were labeled as incompetent. So the idea is you got to go to the banker, you got to say, well, I need this much money for meat, and then they can go, well, do you really need that much meat? And then they can, it's just another petty way that the system can be
just a way to control them.
People. Yeah, exactly.
That's not very American dreamish of you.
No, it was not.
But I think that's part of the movie is that it's exposing that so much of America's institutions are built on rot and just these horrible walls that are put up between people who don't have and people that have. I'm also thinking towards the end with the court stuff, where William Hale and his shitbag attorney can just maneuver the system and, manipulate witnesses and everything. And, well, what can everyone else do about it?
Yeah.
Not much.
Yeah. Also, there's that scene where, even on a social level where even so Molly loves Ernest. I don't know why, but she does. But even in an intimate moment when he's explaining to her what's happening, she's like, oh, you're Indian, you don't understand this, blah blah blah. Here's what's gonna happen. Sometimes people have to say do one thing and mean another.
That works on so many.
She's not an idiot. And then they actually establish in the beginning of the movie that just because they don't talk doesn't mean that they're not listening or they they don't know what they're talking about. That's just part of their culture. And I also like the little bit of culture shock for Leo where she's like, the storm's outside, we need to be quiet now because it's powerful.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Fun little scene. Yeah.
But that's the part where you're just like, oh, he actually is trying, and he's actually a good person at that point, and then it just starts unraveling. It's like, oh my God, he's a piece of shit.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I really don't know where his motivations, because I believe him when he says in court, when he says, I loved my wife.
Yes.
But he's so under the thumb of his uncle that, and I think obviously he's a little bit racist. So
A little bit.
yeah, just a little bit, literally kills people.
Yeah.
So,
it'd be like that.
yeah, I mean, good job on Leo for like portraying that conflicted thing, because I believe he loved her, but was still racist, and I think that's like, you can see that a lot in other movies too. With also, oh shit, I just remembered the fucking KKK is just marching casually.
Yes.
In the town. What the fuck, bro?
It's
I thought
insane.
that was 1940 whatever.
Yep.
Oh, 2020.
Oh, is it 20s? Didn't they go
40?
Yeah, it's not.
When did the movie end? Like what year? Because they got older. Like it was like 10 years in the future. I
I think it was all the 20s to 30s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But still, by then, like it would be wiped out.
Yeah.
You would
I mean,
think.
shit, you even think of stuff like Black Klansman, where,
But dude, this is-
right.
This is
Yeah.
happening in the
Rural
70s,
Oklahoma.
It's disgusting.
Like, I think the biggest shock in the movie to me was like when her sister's house gets blown up, and I was like,
Oh my God.
I knew when Robert De Niro was like going by in the car and saying like, "Oh, we're going out of town for a little bit." I knew I was like, "Oh, what's gonna happen?" And her
Yep.
sister's dead. Yeah, that was like, oh my God. Like Leo was he seemed very surprised by that. Like he didn't know that was gonna happen. I don't think. Like he didn't think. Like he knew something was happening, but he didn't know that was going to happen. He did a very good job portraying that, because he was like, "Oh,
Well, I think somebody said too much dynamite, because that was AC whatever.
Yep, De Niro said
Yeah,
that.
he's
Pretty
like,
sure.
yeah, he's like, oh,
It's like,
we fucked up.
Dude,
What are you gonna do?
he said that right in the open too. It's like,
I do like that. This movie is almost mirrors Goodfellas, but just on like a really stretched out view, because you have the establishment of the main character, like getting involved in the situation. Then you see the rise of him, getting in the family and kind of what he's doing and stuff. Then shit hits the fan with the dynamite in the house, and then to cover their tracks, much like the killing Sam Jackson scene. They got to kill all the cut all the loose ends and stuff. They kill AC, the bomber guy. Then they frame Blackie. And they do something else. But it's like they got to cut all the loose ends and stuff, and like just make sure everything's nice and tidy.
yeah.
And then that comes to bite him in the ass. It's just like Goodfellas. Yeah.
In Goodfellas, Henry Hill is making the active decision. He says every day, ever since I was young, I always wanted to be a gangster. Whereas here, I feel like it's almost fate that brings Ernest into this. I feel like he didn't have a choice. Well, of course he did, because King Hale, not William Hale to him, was pushing him around. There isn't any agency in this one, while there was agency.
Right. He was trying to. Yeah, Henry Hill worked his way into the mob, and then he was just kind of because Leo was, Ernest was, he just got out of World War I at the time.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he was just a cook
Not
or whatever.
as a soldier.
Yeah, no, he was just a cook.
Not as a soldier, but as a chef.
How did his stomach burst? What was that? I don't.
Something.
I didn't know that could happen. Well, you have some bad food. Like,
I wonder
what
if it's
happened?
Like
It was
maybe it's like the modern day equivalent of like an ulcer, maybe, where like they didn't really know what the hell was going on. They're like, your stomach blew up. I don't know.
maybe pancreas type of deal.
Did you happen to eat any dynamite recently? Yeah. So
Nutritious.
that didn't really come up in any way. Maybe it's just an explanation of like why he left. Was he honorably discharged or just discharged? Or,
Probably honorably. But
I don't know what. Is it either or is there just like a regular one? I don't know.
If you know, comment down below and make sure to like and subscribe.
all right.
Thanks.
Thanks. Just one other thing. Like this was the biggest like historical biopic ever. $200 million for this movie.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was going to be just a streaming movie on Apple.
Glad they didn't do that, especially because it's a Scorsese movie. Who does that?
And its first...
I want to say, Dan, I don't know if you could figure this out, but I feel like Irishman was the same budget too.
159.
Irishman. Oh man, I got a lot to say on that movie.
Well,
it's good, but like, why would you cast De Niro as a 30-year-old? Oh my god!
Well, like just cast
when he's kicking the guy, and he's like,
cast as a 45-year-old. So I mean, in this,
well, it's more believable here because he's not doing anything. He's not beating the shit out of people.
He's kind of just like smacking Leo in the ass with a paddle. That's like the most we see of him being physical.
Why was that scene in there? I get it. He's a Freemason. They do weird shit. You could have just done anything else.
I think Scorsese has been doing too many TikToks with his daughter. And I think he's like, so this is what the kids are into. Let me just write a scene like this. Make it a meme. Make it a meme.
Oh my god. They will. I mean.
Oh man. But yeah, so this movie, I believe, as of earlier today, recording day, it was like an 85 audience on Rotten Tomatoes and 92 critics. So
I get that too.
I think I'm going to give this movie an 81. It's a really good movie, but I don't know if I'm going to go back to this. I don't know if I can watch this again. Sure. I mean, I'm sure some movies like, Wolf of Wall Street, I can watch that a million times. I love that movie. It's my favorite Scorsese. Mm-hmm. Taxi Driver, I can rewatch. I mean, and then Goodfellas, I'm sure I could rewatch if I ever watch it.
It's just as entertaining as Wolf of Wall Street.
Exactly. That's what I'm assuming. But his last two, Irishman and this one, don't think I'm going to go back to it. But I recognize it's a very good movie and it has a really good story. But I just don't know if I can sit through it again.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's like, I think I'm going to give it like an 80.
80?
Because definitely could have been cut down. I definitely think there's some sort of, I hate to say this, but kind of like amateurish filmmaking that just could have been avoided in certain parts. Maybe it was a reshoot day. Maybe there was just something wrong with the footage and they had to piece it.
Hey, the budget was getting too high.
I'm just looking at the result, and that's, here and there, that stuff like that. And then there's a little bit like, we don't need that scene. Like, why is that scene in there? The fact that some people are calling this the savior of cinema, I think is a little too much of a exaggeration.
I think Oppenheimer was a little more cinema, honestly.
A little more, yeah. Like, I definitely love the fact that we're getting an original movie.
Yes. Well, it's a book.
Yeah. It's what the original. There's a lot of original parts in this movie.
Yes.
I like that we're getting that. Scorsese's obviously had a lot of fire thrown at him after his comments about the MCU a few years back. Nowadays, I would probably agree with him. Back then, I'm like thinking, well, no, because we're in the Infinity Saga, they're actually doing like good payoffs and stuff. But like, what's going on now?
I know.
But it is nice to see an original movie. But I think this is more of just like a Scorsese movie. It's more about him even more putting the spotlight on this less talked about issue. It's not necessarily a movie. This could have just easily been a very, very good informative documentary.
Yeah, for me, it's the best thing I've seen this year, hands down. It really moved me, and I think it's just I don't know. I always get really emotional about Scorsese because I don't know, the way he loves filmmaking and the way he inspires us to dig into the past, I think is really important. I'm giving it a 95, I think.
Okay.
And this is from somebody who's watched The Irishman 7 times. Like, for me,
yeah, that's fair. That
length is
sounds
not
about
an
right.
issue. I don't know if I'll rewatch it this much just because of how brutal it is and how just depressing the story is, honestly. But
yep.
Yeah, it all
really
happened.
Freaking strong. And when he goes home empty-handed at the Oscars, I will be not surprised and angry as always.
Just like last year's Oscars with the
Fabelmans.
The Fabelmans. We're gonna have to do another Oscar special at some point. Oh God! If the Oscars is gonna be Oppenheimer, Barbie, and Killers of the Flower Moon, that's what it's gonna be this year. Like,
and
honestly,
socks. We never got to talk about that one because I got COVID. That's the explanation. I got COVID and it was just too long past.
Yeah, like we wanted to do it like 2 weeks later. And it's like, and then we said, oh, let's do it the week after. But
do we want to give a quick rating for Socks?
It was surprisingly better than I expected.
You saw it, right, Cameron?
No.
Oh.
It's of course it's a cheesy fucking Saw movie, but like they actually kind of thought about
cheesy.
it.
They thought it was well thought out for sure.
Yeah.
Especially the end. Oh my god, the end was fucking great. They had like 3 different twists in the movie. I mean, it was good. And I think we were gonna put it on our roundup episode, which we might talk about a little more there. We just don't know if we're gonna be in this video at that point.
We haven't signed a lease yet, but
yes.
we may be moving out of this particular studio into a different place. We might have some downtime.
We already had some downtime recently, so
yeah. So I guess a little bumpy ride lately, but
yeah, like we might do the Marvels, we might not. We're gonna do a roundup for sure. We just don't know when that's gonna be, or where that's gonna be.
Yeah.
But yeah, we will keep. Well, actually, we won't keep you updated because we don't really use our socials. But you just if you see us, you'll find out.
See us around.
You'll see us around. But yeah, Socks. What do you give it? Quickly.
Socks. A good 78. Halloween.
I was gonna say 78. You dick.
All right. Above average.
Yeah, that's a wrap on Killers Planet Moon. So we're Seen It Before. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok with the handle at Seen It Beforecast. Right there and right there. There. Seen It Beforecast, SCENE Beforecast, and on Twitter with the handle SIB_pod. I'm Dan.
I'm Danny. You can find me on Instagram at Danny_Was, my letterbox at DJ Was, or my YouTube channel, which is Danny Was.
I thought you're always confused on DJ Was.
What? I got like 5 different names. Cameron, socials, go.
Yes. Cam Kircher, Twitter and Letterboxd for all kinds of ramblings. Yeah. Follow me.
Cool.
Nice.
But yes, so we're going to be down for a little while, as we just mentioned, but we'll be back eventually. And until then, see you next time.